Um, I wanted to get on again about Ron Wills, this guy who's leading this nice guy rebellion, and why I'm just going to make a quick video on why it's unrealistic. And as I said before in other videos, losers don't make the rules. You cannot whine about something and then expect women to run to you when you are opted out of the black community. If niggas don't know you, niggas like to be honest, I'm looking at this dude. I'm like, what type of what personality traits does this dude have? What is I get the goal. Like, okay, he in a video that he did with Obsidian Radio interview that he did, he talks about how he wants to um redefine the image of black men because in the 80s, there were a lot of novels and books about black men not being shit and black men not being good enough. And and I can understand that. I can understand that. I even, and even in a previous video that I've made, I've talked about the gray area of, not being a stereotype, and yet you're still hearing, black men aren't shit and this and that. But despite that error and despite the so-called feminism, and despite the so-called feminism that destroyed the black family, niggas really weren't complaining about relationships, and niggas really weren't in mass. Niggas really weren't, complaining about this shit. So my thing is that, because I can go to any brother in general and I can ask him if he's having troubles finding women, not being with or not being loyal or finding loyal females, but just simply being with a woman. A lot of brothers don't have that issue. And I don't like that YouTube makes this broad stroke of there's all these good brothers in mass, and and they expect black women to magically find these YouTubers who bitch and moan about how they can't find a woman. And I'm like, it's completely unrealistic. It's not. It doesn't make any sense. And a lot of these brothers, they have Elliot Rodger mentality. And that's why I worry about these younger dudes following these older dudes who have this bitter mentality, because these younger dudes can do something dangerous. We could have another girl who, dies because of a nigga from YouTube. We could have another situation of a Asia, McGavin. Forgive me if I mispronounce her name, but we can have another situation like that. So, that's why I'm worried about that. That's why I'm saying like, hey, this could get dangerous, because there could be black men out there from the YouTube world who are trying to do something very dangerous and that can, destroy someone's livelihood. But, they don't want to listen, and they're still mad and hell-bent on getting the pussy, and they will just ruin their lives. Like I said before, good luck with that nice guy rebellion. Losers don't make the rules. But as I was saying about the 80s to the present, a lot of black men really weren't having these relationship issues when it comes to just simply getting with women, and it was practically second nature for black men to have a crisp mouthpiece because of music and pop culture and this expectation of being a ladies' man or being this way, or it was damn near expected. And I've talked about this in early videos that I've made where I felt like black women and girls were at the wrong, because it was way it was they expected black, boys and black males to be sexually active at a ridiculously young age. And I talked about how ridiculous and unfair that was. Um, at the most part, when it comes to relationships and getting with people, even when I look back to my grade school year, it wasn't really a lot of black men that were like who had trouble. Granted, you would have generally the people who didn't have girls, or they didn't have a dating life or a known dating life, where people were boys who were generally shy nerds, or they just kept to themselves. And I think, and even I'll admit that I was that type of dude. I was that type of shy dude during grade school who wished from afar of oh, I wish he would notice me, and I would never approach females, but it was that I had that mentality of they should come to me and they should notice my good character, blah blah blah, and it doesn't work like that. And thank God that I got out of that mentality. But overall, when it came to guys that I can relate to, like myself, guys like me, there weren't an abundance of them. And I don't really, I don't understand where a lot of these black men on YouTube expect black women to find guys like them in abundance. I'm like, even in college, I don't see a lot of dudes with the social issues and the social anger that they have. There's not really a lot of guys like that. You might have some who may agree with some things, or they listen to it, or they overhear it, but they don't listen to it, or they don't act upon it fully. And like I said before, there's been a huge broad stroking of what's an educated black man and what counts as one. And there's always, as Rom Wills, he always complains about black women overlooking these educated black men. But as I said before, who counts as an educated black man? Are they counting the non-conscious, or the regular everyday black kid in college? Are they counting the black male athlete? Are they counting the black frat brother? They're not counting them, and they're oftentimes overlooked. And these people overdraw this image of a Steve Urkel or an out of touch brother who, for some reason, is just socially awkward and cannot function socially. And I'll probably say I'm basically a retarded person. And they expect black women to like this retarded person. I'm like, you're too old to be. I don't see how you can be a successful person and yet talking to black women and having confidence about yourself. It's like the hardest thing in the world. That doesn't compute to me. That doesn't make a lick of sense to me. So there's been a huge broad stroking of that, and too many inconsistencies. You expect. There's really an unclear want of what black men on YouTube want black women to be, or to have, or to look like. Because I've always said, like, why don't educated black men date educated black women? But yet, their complaint is, oh well, they're feminist, or they're independent. They don't value. I don't look for education. But yet the contradiction is that women in lower income aren't as smart, aren't as educated, and they're more prone to violence. But I'm like, you have to pick one or the other. There's no gray area in this. and so these brothers are just making money off of things that they won't do for themselves. These brothers aren't trying, and they will burn themselves out. But and these brothers are gonna burn themselves out, and they're not going to. They're never going to be happy. Been into a debate earlier with a black male on YouTube, and he was talking about how black women don't give a damn about black men, and how he told me some fairy tale shit that there's black women laughing at black men being shot at the police. And I'm like, what instance did this even happen? And I'm like, give me an example to where you see that shit. I don't see that shit. I didn't see Philando's girlfriend laughing at him when he was dead. I don't see, like if that's the case, what's up with all these black women protesting in the streets for Black Lives Matter? Granted, we can talk about, the feminist agenda or the gay agenda or the intersectional agenda, the Hillary agenda, the Democratic agenda of Black Lives Matter, but when it comes to the people who participate, the everyday person, I mean, what do you have to say about that? And he just goes on, oh well, those black women are just attention whoring, and they just want cameras, and and it's like, okay, whatever. It's always something. It's always that they're never genuine, or they're never doing it right, or they're never doing it good enough. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that it's ridiculous. And I just wish that these brothers would just shut up. Just shut up, because you guys are not going to be making demands when you guys are not doing anything for the community. You want all this respect, you want all this power, you want all this notoriety and fame and respect in the community, but yet you don't do anything. You don't do anything to reciprocate that respect, that or the women that you want. Constantly ask you guys, what are you going to do about the crime in the community? Y'all don't give a damn. I asked, what are you guys going to do about the sons who are offsprings of, bastard unions? Y'all aren't going to do anything about it. What are you going to do about sexual assault and street harassment? I ain't going to do shit about it. That's a feminist agenda. You talk to them about any issues in the black community, and they will constantly run the other way and be like, "Oh, that's not my responsibility." But when you go to them and they start asking for demands, and it's like, what grounds do you ask that? Oh well, I'm an educated black man. I never been to jail. I'm kind-hearted. I do sweet things. I'm nice, grateful, loving. They start getting all subjective and acting like they start acting like all that shit they listed is impressive. It's not impressive. It's everyday shit. Any nigga can be nice one day and flip a switch, and he's angry as hell the next. So miss me with all this subjectiveness of how good your character is. Let me know what you're doing for the community and how you're being a good role model. But you're not gonna do it. So I'm not gonna even waste my breath, waste my time combating you guys, because you guys don't listen and you don't care. But yet you want the best things in life. And you guys will forever be whining about shit. You will forever be ungrateful, and you will forever be lonely. So, good riddance.